In this tutorial, we're going to be creating a quick XP system, as well as the ability for our player to collect coins, as well as level up and power up. And we're going to be implementing a double jump. So this might be a little bit of a long one, so let's get right into it. The first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add a new script into our globals. We're going to be creating what we're going to call the XP manager. So XP manager. It is totally fine to just extend the node. It's going to be really similar to how we've set up our other globals. So we can also just right out of the gate go into our globals in the project settings, find our newly created script, and we can rename it. I'm just going to capitalize the P on the node name and add it to our auto loads. Great. So now we won't forget to do that later down the road. We're going to add two signals to this, which one is going to be level up, and that's going to take in the new level, which is an int. And we're also going to make an ability unlocked signal, which is going to take in an ability, which is going to be of type ability. And our abilities are going to be stashed in an enum. And we're just going to call it like this. So that's going to be our enum. Okay. As we create more abilities, you will just be able to add to this enum ability. And the reason we're going to do that is we're going to have a constant for ability level requirements. And this is going to look like ability dot double jump. And we give it a level 3. Okay, I'm not sure why we're getting that, but there we go. Right, yeah, so I needed to add the equal sign there. It was carrying over what it looked like from the enum. I'm also going to statically type this. This is going to be of a dictionary type, okay? And again, as we build this out, we can have an ability laser gun unlocked at level 5 or something that we want. We're going to need a couple of other constants as well. We're going to need a base XP for our level. It's going to be an int. I'm just going to default this to 100. And we're also going to make another constant that's an XP multiplier. That's going to be a float, and we'll leave this at 1.5. So every level after the first level is going to require 1.5 times more XP to advance to the next level than the previous. Now we need some variables to track our player progression. So we're going to look at our current XP, which is an int. It's going to be 0 to start. Our current level, which is going to be our current player level. It's going to be an integer. We're going to default it to 1. And we could, I don't think we'll implement this in this one, but we can do total XP gained, which will again start at 0. Why is this doing this? Okay, let me just quickly reload my project and see if that gets rid of this error. All right, I think that worked. Sorry about that. Then we're going to have another variable that's going to be our unlocked abilities. And this is going to be a dictionary. This is going to look like our ability dot double jump false. So this is the only one that we have right now. So that's why we're going to be putting this in this dictionary, and we're going to default the ability to be false. And this is going to help in our initialization once we actually create the XP manager or initialize the XP manager from within our player. Now we can get into the methods. We're going to have a few in this. So the first one we're going to make is going to called get XP for our level int. It's going to return an int, and the return is just going to be we're going to get the integer from our base XP for level multiplied by to the XP multiplier level minus 1. And this is just going to calculate the XP that we're going to need for a specific level using the exponential scaling. So again, we've used the pow method before. It's just a built-in math method to use with exponents. The other thing that we're going to need to do get XP for next level. This is going to return an int, and all this is going to do here is get XP for next level, and then we call it on the current level. All right, now we want to create an initialize method where we give it a player and we don't return anything. So in this, we are going to reset all progress. So current level is going to be equal to 1, current XP will be equal to 0, and our total XP will be equal to 0. We also want to reset all of our abilities. So these here. So, or sorry, not those. We're going to reset all the abilities within the ability enum. So we're going to loop through our abilities. Ability.values. And then we look in our unlocked abilities. We access the key, or via the key of the ability that we're passing in. And we just set that to false. After that, we are going to preliminarily set something up that we haven't yet, but we are going to be creating an XP bar. Actually, let's come back to this once we actually make it, so it will make a little bit more sense. Let's just keep moving on and creating some of the other methods that we're going to need here. So now we want to check to see if we can unlock any abilities. So check ability unlock. Pass in our player. We're not going to return anything. So we loop through our ability. Same thing that we did above. And then if our current level is greater than or equal to ability level requirements for the ability that we're passing in, and it's not unlocked yet. Then we unlock it. Then we are going to create a apply ability. This is not created yet. We will create this. Right after this, we're going to apply ability to player method, where we pass in our player and the ability, and then ability unlocked emit and our ability. Okay. So we don't have this method, so let's create this. Okay, and we are passing our player and in ability. We're not returning anything. Okay. Ability is not declared. It is not plural. Sorry about that. So now in our apply ability to player, we're going to be using something I don't think we've actually used yet in this tutorial or in this series yet. So we're going to be using a match statement. And let's just write this out real quick. So we're going to match on our ability. So we're passing in an ability, and we are checking to see if the ability is equal to this ability dot double jump. Then we do something specific. So player dot has double jump, which we haven't added yet, but let's just do this so you can see what it will do. It's going to be true. Player dot player camera dot configure shake. We're going to do a camera shake to acknowledge that we have actually gone up a level. So we're going to do our shake type, and I'm going to make this big actually. I think that's going to look a little better. Small and medium don't really do much, so I kind of want to make it big, or at least a little bit more noticeable. And then we're just going to add a little bit of trauma to our player camera. And so what this will do, this match statement, is if we had something else, like an ability dot triple jump or something like that, if whichever ability we're passing in here, we match in any of these, whichever one matches the ability, then we move into this block of code. Okay, so let's go add back into our player script. We're going to add some of the things that are missing, like our has double jump. So let's go find our player script. And we're going to be adding a couple of things into our player. First thing is going to be, we're going to add another category here under attack. We're going to add an export category. and we are going to have an export variable of has double jump and can double jump. So this is going to be the way that we're going to see if we have the ability and track if we're able to actually use the ability, because we have to track whether the player has jumped already and is still allowed to double jump, or if he has double jumped, you don't want him to keep being able to jump. We don't want him to infinitely be able to jump. Okay, great. We're going to add one other check into our physics process here. So if we're not on the floor, we're getting our gravity, and then every time we hit the floor, we're going to set can double jump equal to has double jump. So when you don't have the ability, this is always going to be false. But if you have double jump, and anytime you hit the floor, it's going to reset to allow you to actually be able to double jump. And you'll see this can double jump come into play a little bit as we move into our jump state right now. So now we'll go to our player jump state. We're going to add one thing into our enter method. So when we enter, we're going to check if the player is on the floor. We're going to get tree. We're going to create a timer for 0.2, and then on timeout, we're going to connect. And this is going to be something we haven't done either, but we are going to more or less create a one-off method here, where we are just going to assign player can double jump to equal true. And what this is doing for us is it creates a small delay before enabling double jump. So this can prevent accidental double jumps when people press really quickly, and it also just doesn't allow you to immediately double jump. Because then I think if you do, it could more or less be combined into one jump, and you're not getting the true effect of double jump. So I think this works out really well for us by having this timer. You can play with the time if you want, but that's 0.1 is how I thought it looked best. Now in our unhandled input, we need to check again if the event is action pressed on our jump. Now that we're using event, I'm going to get rid of the underscore in front of it. And then when we check if we are pressing for jump, we need three other checks. We're going to see if the player has double jump, and the player can double jump, and the player is not on the floor. And if all of those are true, we set player can double jump to false. So we're just going to reset some values. Player.velocity dot y equals player.jump force, player.jump audio dot play. So we play our jump audio again, and then we return our jump state, which is self. We need to also update a couple of things within our other states so that we're properly handling this input as well. So let's go handle all of those before we continue. So in the idle state, all we're going to be doing when we enter the idle state is we're going to reset our player's can double jump to true. When he's on the ground, he can double jump. Then we need to move into our run state and do the same thing there too. When we're running, we enter the run state, the player can double jump. Then in our fall state, we need to handle the case where someone is pressing jump when they're falling. So the first things first is we need to bring up our player scene, actually. Where is it? We need to bring up our player scene, and in our state machine, we're going to need to drag in the jump state as an onReady variable inside of our fall state. And then we need to start handling some input. So again, we are using event, so I'm going to get rid of the underscore in front of it. And then we can do something actually very similar to what we were doing inside of the jump. So let's actually just go back to our jump state. Let's copy this. Go to our fall state. We are going to tweak it. We're going to remove the jump force. We'll keep the play audio, and then we return our self. Okay. I might come back and add that jump force. I just want to see how this plays out right now. Okay, so we can actually go test this out now, but we are going to have to enable, since we're not going to be reached, we're not going to reach level 3 we're going to have to go in and enable double jump, okay? So let's play this. Now when we start, let's go in here and let's have, we're going to has double jump and can double jump, right? There we go. Nice. It's resetting though because it's checking on my levels, so I have to go back in and assign these. But you can see we do have double jump. Once we implement the XP bar, it's going to be a lot cleaner. We're not going to have to use these export variables. And once you reach level 3, you're going to permanently have the double jump ability. So let's move into the collectible side of things so that we can start actually gaining XP. We're also going to add XP to killing enemies, but let's just work on the coin bit of it real quick. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is we need to create a collectible base class. And I'm going to put this in a folder inside of our scenes folder. I'm going to create a new folder and call it collectibles. Inside of there, I'm going to create another folder, call it coin. Let's go into our collectibles. We are going to create a scene, call it collectible, change its type. It's going to be an area 2D. We also are going to want to attach a script to it. It can just be called collectible. So we're going to give this a class name of collectible. And we're going to have one signal. It's going to be collected. So every collectible is going to be able to emit this signal. And we are going to need to do a couple of things after we set up some other variables. So we need some on-ready variables. Our collectible is going to need a sprite. It's going to need a collision shape since it's an area 2D. It's going to need an animation player so it can play an animation. I'm going to like my collectibles to play audio as well. I think like a coin collected sound would be kind of nice. So we are also going to add in an audio stream player. You can drag all of these as on-ready variables as well. So now we'll be able to use these on any collectible that we create. Alrighty, let's head into our ready method. Inside of here, we are going to connect to the body entered signal. Okay, we're going to create a method called onBodyEntered. All right, and in that method, we get passed a body, which is going to be, it can be of any type node 2D. Okay. And then we need to do a check on if the body is player, we collect and then pass in the body. What did I mess up here? Cannot use shorthand get node notation. Sprite 2D. I want a class that isn't a node. Oh, my class name got removed. All right, that should be fine. All right, now we need to make this collect method, which we're going to pass in the player, because it's only going to ever be a player. It's not going to return anything. Okay. So inside of this method, get rid of this here. So inside of this method, yikes, okay, area 2D, there we go. Inside of this method, we're gonna first of all just emit our signal. Okay. Then if we have an audio stream player, if our audio stream player has a stream, then we're gonna play the audio. We are going to disable our collision shape. We don't want to allow any other collisions with this, so we're going to do this on a set deferred, and we are going to disabled. We're going to mark disabled as true. Okay. We're going to turn our sprite's visibility off, and then if there's a collect audio, sorry, not collect audio, if there's an audio stream player on collect, what we're going to do is await our audio stream player to be finished. then we queue free. So this is what's going to happen every single time we actually collect one of our collectibles. So let's just go create one of these now. Save my player, and we are going to create another area 2D. I'm gonna call this coin. We will save this inside of our coins folder, inside of collectibles coin. Okay, we're going to attach a script to it. It can be called coin, class name coin, and instead of extending area 2D, we're going to extend our collectible. One new value that we're going to give to this one is going to be an export variable of XP granted. It's going to be an integer. I'm going to default this one to just be 10. Again, you can change that as you see fit. For our testing purposes, we're going to put this really high so we can just immediately go to level 3 and get our double jump ability. Then we're going to do a little bit of overriding of the collect method. Okay, so we are allowed to do this because we have a method called collect that we're extending from. But we don't want to override all of this, right? So we need to make sure that whatever we are putting on top, or whatever we want to override, if we want to keep everything we want to keep everything from the existing script, we need to also add super collect. So super grabs everything from the initial, or the base implementation, and also runs through that method. But before that, we also want to call our XP manager, and we want to add XP. This is something that we haven't done because we need to do this when we build out our XP bar. We're going to give it the XP granted to our player. So I know we don't have this right now. So I think that's going to be a really good time for us to move into that. I'm going to comment this out right now so we don't get any errors. Let's go test this out and see if we can get our triple jump, or our double jump, actually triggered through a coin. So in order to do that, I need to go to our test scene. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag a coin into the level. Okay. I guess getting a little bit ahead of myself now, because we have not done anything to the coin. We have only written the script. So we need to go ahead and add our sprite. We need to add our animation player. We need to add the audio stream player, and we need to add our collision shape. Okay, so our sprite is going to be it's in the collectibles folder in the assets, and it's just called items. So we need to go into our animation here, and we are 4 H frames and 4 V frames. All right. And then we want to go to our animation player. We're going to make a new animation, just call it default. And this is what is going to always be playing. And we are going to just start keying in the frames on the coin. And we start at 4. Okay. We're going to do 0.15 on the snap. We're going to make this loop, and it's going to be 0.6 in total length. Okay. We go up to 5, cue the rest of these in. All right, so now we have this. Cool. I am going to make sure we're on this one. We're going to go to transform. I think I'm going to scale this up just a little bit. What value did I put that at? We'll just do 1.3. Let's put this closer up on x-axis, and now we can add our collision shape. I'm going to use a rectangle. I think it's going to be just fine for our purposes here. If you want to use a circle, you can too. I don't know why I just don't love working with the circle. I think it's a little bit harder to manage for some reason. We're going to save that though, and then in our audio stream player, we can do a quick load, and we can find the coin collected .wave file, which is also in our assets folder. Now we can test this out. When we drag a coin into our scene, we'll actually see something because it exists. All right, so we have 2 coins now. All right, cool. So let's play. All right, so now we see our coins. We have our collision shapes on visible in the debug mode, but we're going to add 300 XP as our export variable right now, just so we can. Okay, you heard the sound. All right, now I can double jump. I think there is an issue though when I'm seeing if I press it too late, or if I'm pressing it in the fall state, I'm actually not double jumping. So let's figure that out. Let's go debug this real quick. Okay, so let's close that. I don't want that. We need to go into our fall state. Where? Oh, self. I need to return. Since I copied this from jump state, I left self in, so that was affecting my ability to actually double jump when I hit the fall state. Okay. There we go. Now I can double jump when I'm falling. If you like that, you can leave that in. If you don't like that, then you can get rid of that. I kind of like that. Gives the player a little bit more flexibility in being able to escape attacks and whatnot. Okay. So now let's build out the XP bar really quick. And then we're also going to build out being able to gain XP when you take damage. Or, sorry, when you kill enemies. We're going to reset the XP granted over here for the coins, because I don't want them to give 300 all the time. So now we need to go back to our player. And in order for us to build this out pretty quickly, I'm going to duplicate. Get rid of this. I'm going to duplicate the health canvas layer. I'm going to call this XP canvas layer. And then I'm going to call this XP bar. Okay, and we're gonna need this as an onReady, the XP bar. And now let's go here. So we have our XP bar. All right, I am going to replace this, but we're gonna reset a couple of things. So we go into our layout first, and in our transform, I'm gonna reset the size. That just doesn't need to be that way. We can close this down now. Then we want to go into our textures, and all I'm going to do is go back up into our assets folder. I've added some new XP bars and just drag the name of the file in XP bar into the corresponding texture over here. So over to over, progress to progress, and under to under. So we're getting a little bit different of a look on this bar now. I am also, I'm going to go back in the layout and transform. I'm going to change the rotation to -90, and I'm going to have a vertical bar. I don't know, I just kind of like the look of a vertical bar. It's, fully up to you how you want it to be. I don't know, I kind of like the look of the vertical bar for this, just to switch it up from what the health bar looks like. Okay, that's all that we have to do right now. Now we can go back into our XP manager, and we need to go back up into our initialize method. Now we need to configure the XP bar. So now we can access the XP bar of our player and set the max value of it equal to the get XP for next level. And then the player XP bar, its current value is going to be 0. Okay. Why is this giving me? It's giving me, oh, I need XP for next level. We don't want to do for level. And now we need to actually have the ability to add XP, because we need a method to build out. This is actually going to be the method that we built out in coin here, where we're going to grant our XP. Okay. Oh, and that also reminds me, I think I had export variables on for the player, and that's why I was able to double jump, not because I was collecting coins. But either way, good thing that we were able to collect coins. Now we're going to collect coins and trigger the double jump. Back to the XP manager, and we're going to create our add XP method, which takes an amount of an integer, and our player of type player. In this method, we are going to look at total XP gained plus equals amount, and then we also do the same for our current XP. Then we're going to do a while loop. So we're going to do while our current XP is greater than or equal to the get XP for next level. We're going to current XP minus equals get XP for next level. Current level plus equals 1. level up dot emit current level, check ability unlock of our player, and then player.xp bar dot max value is going to equal get XP for next level. So what this is doing is we're subtracting the XP needed for this level. We level up, telling others that we've leveled up via the signal, and then we check for our new abilities and update our XP bar. Lastly, we go to our XP bar, XP bar, and we set its value equal to the current XP. So this is going to be so that if you're at 90 XP and you gain 70, you're going to make sure you carry over any unused XP into the next level. We don't want to just start at 0 every time that you get to a new level. You want to properly reward the player for getting to that next level. Okay, now the last thing we want to do is we want to have our enemies also grant us XP. I guess the first things first, let's actually see if the XP bar works. All right, so it's at 50. So we missed a step. So I don't think I ever actually initialized this. So we need to go back into our player. Yeah, we need to go back into our player. And in here, we need to get into our XP bar, and we need to initialize it with self. Okay. And our XP bar, yeah, that's what we want to do. Okay. Oh no, I'm sorry, not the XP bar. We need to initialize our XP manager. Sorry, that's why I wasn't getting the type hints there. Now this should work. So now when we play this, it should show nothing in the health bar. XP manager, initialize base node XP manager. Okay, so I have messed something up. Oh, I spelled initialize wrong. That would do it. Okay. All right, so now I have nothing. And then when I hit the coins, you can see the bar go up. So we have a working health, or a working XP bar. But now, nothing happens when we kill these enemies. So let's add that to our enemy. So we need to go back into RoboCop, since RoboCop is going to be the one that actually has an XP, the XP granted for killing him. We can't kill the turret, so right now it's just going to be RoboCop. So let's find RoboCop's script. Where is he? I'm just going to search for it. Save us some time. Okay. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an export variable at the top. I don't want it to be in a category right now. And it's going to be called XP. We'll call it XP granted. And we'll float it and give it 60. Actually, we're going to make this an integer. I think that's what we've been doing around the rest of it as well. Then we need to go modify the death state of RoboCop, because we want to make sure that we're granting the player XP whenever the enemy dies. So in the death state for our enemy, we have to make a couple of changes. So after we play the death animation, we're going to first check to see if we can find XP granted in the enemy. So we're going to look to see if this variable exists on the enemy, because for some reason we may not, and we don't want the game to break if there is no XP granted variable or value. We could also put this on the enemy base class and just make it 0, so everything defaults to 0, which now that I'm thinking about it is probably the better way to do this. So bear with me here. Let's just actually make that real quick. So we're going to have an export variable, XP granted, an integer, equal it to 0. Okay, and now in RoboCop, he will have 60, but we're not going to be able to use it that way. We're going to have to, in our ready, we're going to have to set this up this way instead. So now whenever on ready, this overrides the enemy's class. The base enemy class is 0 of 60. Okay, so now we can go back and finish this off. We no longer need to check for this. We can just have it. So we go to our XP manager, we add XP. The amount is going to be inside of our enemy.xp granted. And then we pass in our player manager, player. And we should be all good now. Let's run this. So our coins still work. Boom. All right, nice. Let's make the coins again worth a lot more. I can't double jump right now, so let's rerun this. And we are going to make the coins worth a lot more. So let's go back to the coin. And we're going to override this. Let's just make it 500 a piece. And okay, you see it was very slight, but the screen shook, and now I can double jump. All right, so this is all set up and working now. So I hope you guys like this tutorial. I know it's probably going to be a little bit of a long one, but I hope you find this pretty valuable. We accomplished a lot, set up an XP system, collectibles, double jump, and power-ups. So we'll keep building on this in future videos.